Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, Bryce Simon and I are giving our fearless predictions for the 2024-25 NBA season. But first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What is this going to be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. Bryce, what's going on, buddy?
Sam, I have a very important question, and this could make or break our friendship.
Oh, no.
Do you understand the gravity of this?
I do.
How many tabs do you currently have open on your computer?
9.
Okay. If I had you open your iPhone, how many tabs would you have open in Safari?
Like 2. Probably.
Oh, okay, we're good.
The only reason is because I have them close after like 24 hours or whatever. Automatically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and to be honest with you, so 4 of my tabs that are open on my laptop right now are, I have 3 email addresses, my personal, my work email, and my podcast email address. Those just like kind of stay open all the time.
fair.
I have our show schedule, which is,
Important.
something to have open. I have my NBA draft top 100 prospect list because I was kind of doing some stuff this morning. Recorded a Ben Seraph episode, which will go up on the YouTube channel. That'll be YouTube exclusive. Going up probably tomorrow, I would guess. Something like that. And then I have Seraph's Synergy profile. I have the YouTube channel, like back end. And my Twitter account, and that's it. Yeah, actually, I've less than 9. It looks like.
That's perfect. So this stems from one, there's a teacher in my hallway who comes every once in a while and asks me for help. And she has like 50 tabs open, and I refuse to help her until she closes some of her tabs because I'm a jerk. And then the other day at school, one of our students, they aren't allowed to have phones in class, but sometimes I think the English teacher uses it for actual educational stuff. But she says, Bryce, this student couldn't open another Safari tab because they still had 500 tabs open.
Too many tabs
on Safari. And here's what was bad. Like, this is one of my favorite students. Like, she is a stud and like cross country basketball, everything she does, very smart, great fan, like all of that. And I was just like, I can't like you anymore. You can't have that many tabs open and you still be one of my favorite students. Like, it just can't happen. So I was just making sure you and I it sounds like we're on the same wavelength here.
Look, like in season when I'm doing stuff, like particularly research for things that I'm writing. The other thing is I have a second monitor as well. So like if I'm writing something, I will have the thing I'm writing up on the second monitor, and then I will have tabs open. And honestly, like there are probably moments where I have like 25 tabs open while I am writing a specific thing.
Yeah.
But I am pretty diligent about closing them. I'm also very diligent about like removing things from my desktop as well. My desktop probably gets cleaned once every month, just into like files or onto my hard drive or like anything like that, because I don't like the clutter of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, mine has like 3 things right now, 3 icons. I have a video that I just uploaded to Streamable. I have I have like my social media pictures that I use whenever I tweet stuff. And then I have a game queue tab, which is just any games I've downloaded from Synergy that I need to watch. And then everything else is clean. I can't. My phone has nothing open right now. And I also have every notification. Oh, like I can't. People that have like 13,000 unread emails and that going across their email tab.
So,
Sam,
I will say this.
Sam, please don't tell me this. You're about to ruin it.
Take a guess on how many emails I have unread.
Is it over 1,000?
It is 121,000. unread emails. It just got to the point where it's just like, okay, I'm not gonna like fuck with this anymore. It's just not worth. It's a number that is there, and like I don't even look at it anymore.
I couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah, like I just can't. I can't.
Oh, wow.
I can't deal with that. Like I used to be a person that would close them, but once it hit a certain point,
Yeah.
it was just like I can't do anything with this. Like I could spend 3 days going through all of these, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Truthfully, because there are like, and I can't go through and just say mark all as read.
Yeah.
Because there are some things like I need to go back to. I might be able to make some changes, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
While you're here, by the way, listening to us discuss our habits, one thing that you can make a habit of, going to the Game Theory social channels. Go to Game Theory, Sam V, GameTheory, SAMV, over on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you get good social media content. Please, 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 please go subscribe to these channels. Andrew is doing a fantastic job of curating them and making sure that clips go out, making sure that any sort of social stuff goes out. Once the NBA season starts, I will probably have some social stuff go up only there. So go subscribe to those channels. Okay, Bryce, we're giving predictions today. I kind of left this open-ended for you.
Yes, you did. I was like,
honest. I just said, look, they can be as bold or as not bold as you want. I think I have like a couple of things here that are bold, a couple of things that might not be bold. You ended up coming up with 8. I don't know if we'll go through all 8. I picked like 5 things. We might just like kind of zoom through a rapid fire at the end, but I am really, really excited for this NBA season, and I found it difficult to actually tangibly give predictions that I realistically think are going to happen, if only because this season seems so wide open entering. The only certainties I really have are I feel like Oklahoma City is going to be a juggernaut, and I feel like Boston are going to be juggernauts. Like those are really the things in the regular season where I'm like, even without Kristaps, Boston is going to be amazing. Oklahoma City, as long as Shea doesn't go out, like I feel great about them. Is there anything that you feel certain about this season, kind of beyond those things?
Well, I'm going to talk about one of those teams. So I will just say that you did leave this very open, and I found myself very uncomfortable with that because I was like, do I go just straight bold predictions, which I'm not very good at because then they end up not being that bold. So we don't know either of ours, and that's why I have as many as I do, because we didn't want to share with each other so we could be a little bit surprised and all of that. So there's the possibility of some overlap. We will see if that happens or not. But as I went through it, I found the same way, Sam, where I was going, I don't know how much I believe that's going to happen. I don't know how much I believe that. Like I even had to, I have my justifications for the ones I wrote down, because when I first just initially said them, I'm like, do I really believe that to any extent, whether it's a bold take or not? So that's good. It's exciting to be in that place with this NBA season. Some of this is due to injuries, some, which obviously isn't good, but it makes for a very interesting NBA season. And I'm just ready for it to get here. So this will be fun to hash through to kind of get us prepared.
Okay. So I will go first here.
Okay.
Because typically I let you go first, but there is one thing that I just kind of want to get off my chest. I made this prediction, I think back in June, for the 2024-25 season, and I am going to stick with it. My first prediction is Luka Doncic wins MVP.
Okay, nice.
My main concern here is honestly Shea. If Oklahoma City is such a juggernaut that Oklahoma City wins 65 games and Shea ends up at like 35-5 while leading the NBA in stocks again, like he did last year, it's going to be a hard conversation, I think, to have. But man, I feel like Luka is about to come out and just like completely destroy worlds. He got a little taste of it last year. Have you seen photos of him yet?
No.
Like, have you done the muscle watch on Luka yet?
I'm not. I refuse.
Luka's in pretty good shape. Luka looks like he is, pretty skinny comparatively to what I've seen from him previously, but like stronger than what I've seen. And Luka is typically very, very strong. Like he's maintained the strength is maybe the better way to put it. Averaged 33.9 points, 9.8 assists, 9.2 rebounds. The only thing there that wasn't a career high last year was the rebound number. He averaged 9.4 in his second season. I think we're going to get freaking close to a Luka triple-double per game this year. I think he actually might do it. I actually think there is a very real chance that he averages a triple-double this year. And here's why I say that. First, I think their offense is going to be a total juggernaut. I think the addition of Klay Thompson is going to really jumpstart their offense in a substantial way. Overall, defensively, like I want to see what it looks like, to be completely transparent. Losing Derek Jones Jr. and replacing him in the starting lineup with Klay is going to be interesting. But offensively, I don't know how you stop this team led by this person now. Because he's able to make these laser quick twitch decisions all across the court in a way that when you have a well-spaced court now with an elite lob threat in Derek Lively, and you put Klay Thompson on the weak side, you put Kyrie on the weak side, you run actions with PJ Washington. I feel like it's just going to be really freaking hard to guard them. And it's going to be almost impossible to deal with Luka because he's smarter than all of you. Like he's smarter than everybody. So he's always going to make the right decision. It's just, I really feel like this is the year for Luka.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I was curious whenever you said Luka. My first thought was, and listen, I don't want to take any away from him. We both believe in the talent and how good he is. My question was, do you think, how much of this has to do with the team around him? Like how much of that has to do with like, you have Klay Thompson, you have Kyrie, who I think sneakily had a really good year last year, better than maybe what people may realize or give him credit for because it's Kyrie. Derek Lively, I actually had in my notes from the preseason, I wonder if he takes a step forward. Do we actually see more from him? Short roll reads, short roll floaters, those type of things. I think my biggest question here then is, how efficient is their collection of wings forwards knocking down weak side corner threes, right? I mean, what happens if PJ Washington doesn't shoot it well? What happens if Najee Marshall doesn't shoot it well on volume? What happens if, let's say Omax gets into the rotation and he's not able to, or, Grimes, whoever it is? That's where my head initially went. Is this you buying the collection of offensive talent around him a little bit more? Or is it like, hey, it's finally his year? Is it where you think they're going to finish in the West? All of the above, kind of like what lands you that this is the year for Luka?
Look, I think they win 50 games. 50 might get you fifth or sixth in the West this year because the West is just insane. And the bottom end of the East is projecting to be quite poor. It's going to be interesting to see where all of that lands. What I would say is this, though. Luka played a lot of minutes last year with like semi-shooters, non-shooters, right? Like Grant Williams, he played, however many minutes for the Mavs last year, well over 1,000, I would guess, 1,200 before he got traded. Like Grant Williams, teams didn't really feel like they had to guard him as a shooter. Josh Green played 1,500 minutes last year. We can say he shoots 38% from three, but teams don't really guard him as a shooter, right?
Sure.
PJ Washington in the regular season shot 31% from three last year. Derek Jones Jr. is a guy that does not get guarded. They had a lot of the non-shooters already, kind of, and he still averaged 34 points and 9 assists. Like, I think if you add even just a little bit of shooting, like what Klay Thompson's going to give them, assuming he's healthy, I hope that Klay is able to get over, some of the, seems like there's like a little back thing going on, but if he's able to play and give them the spacing that they require, I mean, my goodness, I think we might have like a 33-point triple-double per game from Luka this year, 35-point triple-double per game from Luka this year. He is going to be absolutely outstanding.
No, he is. And I think that's my thing is if those guys are around him, that wing forward room kind of hits defensively so they can win games, has the floor spacing to make it even harder on defenses, you could see him replicate, if not take a little bit of a step forward. So I don't dismiss this at all. It was just, I wanted to play devil's advocate a little bit of what could go wrong here. But that's a good point. Whenever you already had that floor spacing last year and he put up those numbers, why could he not do it again? And that offense, I think it has a chance. If Clay is anything close to, we know he can shoot the ball. That's my thing is.
That's the thing. Like, I have no doubt, and you have to guard him. That's the thing. You unequivocally have to guard him. Everything else with Clay's game, I have significant questions about.
100%.
That is the thing I don't have questions about. Like,
yes.
He is a guy that you have to guard and you have to shoot. And with the way that Dallas operates their offense with Luka and Kyrie dominating the ball in the way they do, really all Clay's going to have to do is shoot on offense. The defense, whole other question mark for me.
Yeah.
The offense, though, I think is going to be a really good fit here in Dallas.
And being able to play 48 minutes with a lob threat when Luka is one of the best pick and roll lob throwers in the league. We saw, we broke the film down of defenses in the playoffs and what you have to try to decide when you're playing this Mavs offense. Are you going to let him just attack you? Are you going to take away the lob? Because if you do, then those corner 3-point shots are wide open. And when you now have the option to put one of the best 3-point shooters in the history of our game in that weak side corner, good luck, right? You can take away Lively's lob, you can take away Luka, you can take away Clay in the weak side corner. So that has nothing to do with defense, right? How does that play defense? We'll see. But offensively, it should work out okay.
I love it. Okay, Bryce, you are up with your first fearless prediction.
So Luka's not going to win MVP, Sam, because I'm predicting that the Oklahoma City Thunder will win 65 plus games.
Woo!
Have a 11.0 net rating.
Oh my God.
And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will win MVP. So the Celtics.
Okay, I just want to, I was going to say, go ahead. You're going.
The Celtics last year won 64 games and had 11.7 net rating during the regular season. So this is my bold take of bold takes and just completely all in on the Oklahoma City Thunder being awesome this season. Shai's a top 5 player in this league. And we've talked about J-Dub and Chet Holmgren. And I think those two guys are only going to be better. Lou Dort, and then you add in Alex Caruso, Hartenstein, Cason Wallace. I think, it's preseason. There's a reason we're not doing a whole preseason episode. But still, I thought he looked good when I watched the other night. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. I think the reason I believe in this team so much in the regular season to potentially do something as special as what I just said is they have the depth to overcome things if necessary. If Shai misses a couple games, J-Dub and Chet can take over and still run the offense. Or the defense can be so good that they can win games with their defense. Or if Chet misses a couple games, then Hartenstein can play, or you can play him together. They just have so many options defensively, offensively, all of that I think that's important when you're talking about navigating a regular season and dominating it the way that I would predict here. And I think they at least have the tools to do that. And I think this is important. They would be motivated to do so. They're not yet in winning in the playoffs is the only thing that matters for us. So I think they're a team that still would go into the regular season looking to prove themselves, dominate the West, and send a message for the entirety of the regular season.
So here would be my look. I love Oklahoma City. We're going to talk about them later on my end as well. They involve one of mine too. But here are the things that worry me just in terms of the regular season stuff.
Sure.
For OKC, right? I can see them wanting to get on-ball reps for guys like Cason, Jalen Williams, continue to develop them. Mark Daigneault feels very developmentally based. It feels like he will try to play the long game.
Sure.
As much as he can, right? Might not be able to do the whole way, but he'll probably try to, right? Second, they have a lot of things to kind of tinker with lineup wise. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I just think they probably will tinker a little bit, especially early in the season. I think by the midpoint, they might rip off, 12, 14 in a row at some point, and that wouldn't blow my mind. I don't know what their schedule looks like off the top of my head, like in the middle point of the season. So, if they have like a crazy schedule around there, is what it is, right? But if they went on a stretch like that, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because I think at some point this thing's really going to click and it's really going to go. The third thing that worries me just for the regular season piece of this for you is the West is really good.
It is.
65 games in this Western Conference feels very difficult to do to me. It feels very, very difficult to do to me.
You told me that we can do predictions based on whatever
whatever
level of
boldness
we wanted
that you wanted.
So I decided to open with the most boldest. And listen, I'm not running to the bank. I do think the Thunder win the Western Conference. Like I do in the regular season.
I do too.
I do think that. Is this a lot? This is obviously a lot. This is everything coming together in the way that I outlined. Obviously, this isn't the most likely outcome. I do think that there's a chance. Here's what I believe. Truly, I think there's a chance they're a very dominant regular season team this year. I think there's a chance they are in a tier of their own, even in the Western Conference this regular season, because the Nuggets are figuring things out. Yes. The Timberwolves have new moving parts, right?
They're going to figure things out for sure.
They very well may figure them out, but they've got, because of that trade, and especially when it happens, they're figuring it out right now. They didn't have all offseason to figure out, okay, how does Julius fit here? Where do Nas minutes come from? Whatever. The Clippers are worse this year. You talked about the Mavs. The Mavs are going to be good. The Suns injury stuff. We'll talk about the Pelicans later.
You know what? To your point though, the Mavs have to integrate Clay, and they have to integrate Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes, and a lot of their role players are different. The Lakers are integrating a totally new coach. Memphis is reintegrating their entire roster.
The Lakers had the most health they've had. So are you going to replicate that with LeBron and AD? The Kings, I think, are going to be a really good regular season team as well. So that could be, and they do play some games against the East and the Blazers and the Jazz and all of that. So I realize how aggressive it was, but I do think they're going to be really, really, really good in the regular season.
I also think they're going to be really, really good. They are my number one seed in the West for sure. It's just they're going to be really difficult to deal with on defense and on offense. That's the thing. More than any other team in the West for me, they combine both ends of the court. Minnesota, I think will probably have some growing pains in their half court offense and their late game offense. I think has a chance to struggle a little bit. It struggled last year, and it will take a minute, I think, for them to figure some things out. The Lakers under a new coach, maybe the Lakers are just really good, but again, this is betting on a team.
Yeah, new coach as well with the Lakers. Yeah.
We don't know totally what to make of them yet, right? Dallas has some things to figure out on defense, and I don't feel great about, removing Derek Jones Jr. and replacing him with Clay in the starting lineup. You can say that Najee and Quentin Grimes will come in, but they're also replacing guys like Josh Green, right? Who's a pretty solid defender. The Pelicans, I think, have a chance to be quite good, but I just worry that their lack of interior depth is going to catch up to them in the regular season, where teams can kind of just bludgeon them a little bit from time to time. Not regularly, but there will be games where that happens. I don't think Sacramento has as much talent, frankly, as Oklahoma City does. That's just kind of the reality of the situation. In Denver, has to figure things out on defense. You lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You lose the depth that having Christian Brown coming off the bench is going to bring. So and
they're integrating Russell Westbrook. Of all the things we're talking about integrating,
that's a growing pain.
Russell
Westbrook could work, it could not. Yeah.
Is going to be an integral part of that team, whether people agree with it or not. And doing that, whether it works or not, is taking some adjustment because it's Russell Westbrook. And I'm not saying that overly negative. I'm just saying that's true.
No, it is true. It's absolutely a reality of the situation. Russ takes time to integrate into your roster just because of a play style situation. So I I think that Oklahoma City also, by the way, has guys to integrate. They have to integrate Isaiah Hartenstein
both
and
of
Alex
those guys.
Caruso. I think it's easier to integrate those guys though, because those guys are role players coming to play a specific role. I'm not saying that any of the guys I mentioned previously are selfish, but like those guys come in with no ego. They're just going to run the scheme. They're both super high IQ players. If you would bet on guys hitting the ground running, it would be those two to hit the ground running for Oklahoma City. So that would be the case for it, at least. I think that it
60
is
wins.
a fun.
What if I said 60 wins? Like where?
No, I love 65. Let's do it.
Well, I was gonna say, where does reality actually fall? Like, if I said 59
I think right around 60
half,
is what I would have said. 60 is my number that I think.
And then they were net rating last year. They were 7.3. Like, I think that's going to go up. Like, I think there's a chance it truly hits double digits net rating. Yeah. Like, I think they could be good enough on both ends for it to be a double digit net rating.
The thing that I don't know if people have totally recognized yet is that they should just like absolutely bludgeon bench units.
Yeah.
Like they should make it really hard to score on bench units, because I would bet you that they stagger Chet and Hartenstein in a real way. So yeah, I'm very, very interested. I'm very, very interested to see what level they get to this year. We'll talk about them later on. So okay. We'll come back to them.
Perfect.
My second fearless prediction. The Phoenix Suns finished top 4 in the Western Conference.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
This is a really talented team.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you have watched them in the preseason.
I've had to watch 2 games because they played the Pistons twice.
Oh boy. I'm sorry for that. Their offense looks like functional and competent. And last year it was so ball stoppy and it was so stagnant. Every time you watched them, it was like, my turn, Devin Booker. Oh, my turn, Kevin Durant. Beal never really got integrated, it felt like to me. And I don't know that Beal has like even played all that well in the preseason for my money yet. But like when I watch them schematically and when I watch what Mike Budenholzer has brought to this team, he's just brought organization offensively in a way that makes me feel like they're probably going to be like a top 6 or so offense in the league. Like Mike Budenholzer's teams, they are always excellent on offense. I think that they will be quite good on that end of the court. And then on defense, look, like I have questions about like integrating Tyus Jones. I thought Tyus was quite poor last year on defense. But again, like the Budenholzer scheme should work pretty well here, I think.
With the drop.
And I have a million questions about them in the playoffs. I think there are just a lot of ways to take advantage of them in a matchup setting where you're scouting and preparing for a team night after night after night. But in the regular season, where you run this scheme that is just well spaced and you have these dudes who can really create shots. They have 2 all-NBA players in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I feel like the way that they look right now makes me believe that they can be very, very successful in the Western Conference this year, just in terms of the way that their scheme is running.
So here's some of my notes team-wise from those games. And obviously when I watch Pistons games, I'm a little more locked in there, but I take notes on the other team as well. Feel like this team has plenty of floor spacing to really attack teams and then kick if they need to. Like that really stood out to me as Tyus Jones knocked down some open catch and shoot shots. And then all of the other floor, Grayson Allen, hasn't even played yet in those games. And so they can have real floor spacing around them. They also running some really fun ball screen actions with the different combinations of the big 3. So Bill with Booker with KD, like, one ball handler, one the screener, and put it however you want. And then you have gravity off the ball because one of those guys is standing in the corner or whatever. And so I think offensively that there is some real possibilities for, some really interesting things. My big question I wrote down, who takes those defensive matchups on the perimeter? Who is that guy for this team? Is it Booker? Like, do we get a little bit of Team USA Booker where I thought he played this role of like, just do whatever Team USA needs, take tough matchups, be aggressive, like do the little things?
I'm not expecting that.
Okay.
I am thinking that Ryan Dunn ends up playing a role on this team.
And so can I give my Ryan Dunn one? Because
Yeah, please.
Ryan Dunn will have 51 plus 3-point makes in his rookie season.
Oh, that's aggressive. That's aggressive.
Which is the same amount of attempts that he had attempts through 2 years at Virginia.
Yeah. Do you have that as an actual prediction?
I wrote it down just as like a super fun one because I wanted to talk about how Ryan Dunn actually has made threes so far in the preseason. So
here's my big thing with Ryan Dunn in the preseason, and I don't want to overreact to preseason. Who knows what he'll look like in the regular season when teams like it used to, how he plays and everything. When Ryan Dunn had the ball at Virginia, he looked like a deer in headlights.
Sure.
Like he looked like everything was moving so fast and he was thinking, and like it just did not look comfortable when he had the ball. With Phoenix, it's clear that they have like empowered him, and the training he did pre-draft, I think he worked with Phil Beckner pre-draft, where they have like given him more confidence offensively. Like Ryan Dunn made 40% of his threes in high school. Like this is, before and during the growth spurt that he had, obviously. So you never know how the way that you grow I think he grew like 5 or 6 inches in high school. Like that can affect shot mechanics, trajectories on shots, everything like that. But he is the confidence back or there for the first time in a way that it just did not exist at Virginia. And I hope that stays. That's something that you can take away from preseason. I think I'm not going to sit here and be results oriented and say like, oh, Ryan Dunn can shoot now. Like that's a thing. I have no fucking idea if Ryan Dunn can shoot now. But what I will say is he looks a lot more comfortable and confident taking threes. I would be stunned. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know this for sure. I would be stunned if he had ever taken a grab and go transition, walk in, pull up three at Virginia, even tried it. And he did that in a preseason game. Even having that in his brain makes me happy to see.
That's why I think like listen, this is way too aggressive. I went in with the idea of just saying that he would make more threes than he made of, his entire career in college, but that number is only 12. And so 12 did not seem like a fair prediction at all. My question is like, how much do you think he's solidly in the rotation? Because I think if he really plays, he may get up. Like, do you think he plays 60 games in 18 minutes a night?
Do I think he plays 60 games in 18 a night? That would be how many minutes? That would be
a little under 1,200.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he gets 12. He gets probably right around 1,200. Yeah. I think that's where I'm at.
And so I was just trying to figure like how many threes that would equate to. So like
Bud will tell him to take them. So
I was figuring he would get 150 threes up. Could he make 33%?
I don't know if he's going to make 33% from the jump, but the shot looks better. So,
anyway,
if he makes 31. Yeah. I mean, he's going to take them. That's the thing.
He does. In fairness, I didn't mean for this to turn into like a little Ryan Dunn mini segment, but it looked good. Those are the
to transition back.
Yeah.
He's an important piece of this team because they don't really have any other perimeter defense options on this group. Like all due respect to Devin Booker, like you just don't want Devin Booker having to take that in all honesty. And Beal can't do it. Tyus Jones can't do it. I don't think Grayson Allen's quick enough to do it. Monte Morris can't do it. Like they actually need Ryan Dunn at moments to be able to take some of those matchups.
Yep. And he has the versatility to take a lot of different ones as well. And he looked good, even as a rookie, again, the 2 games I watched was versus the Pistons and Cade, but he gave Cade some fits on some different possessions. So this Phoenix team is interesting because if they stay healthy, as you mentioned, super, super talented, as we all know. I think the offensive creativity will be interesting to watch this year. So it's not always just bail out superstar shots, which we know they have guys that are really good at that. Maybe one of the best ever in KD, definitely one of the best ever in KD. But can you get them easy shots? Like I found myself watching every game last year going, they're too talented to have to take this every single time down the floor. Get some easy stuff. And ball screen situations between those three, because the other team's third best defender is going to be on one of them, Sam. So if it's on Beal and they just want to switch the KD Bill ball screen. Well, now the third best defender's on KD, and that's advantage Phoenix.
Yeah, no question. No question. That's advantage Phoenix. As long as Beal has it. Like, this is why we talked about Beal is one of the most important players in the league last week. Beal is a really, really important player for them, I think, this year. Okay, you are up. Your second fearless prediction, Bryce.
Yeah, so I'm going to go homer here. I don't go homer on this podcast very often, Sam. I think you can attest to that whenever we talk Detroit.
You actively avoid it.
That is a great way of saying it. I have to talk about the Pistons 12 hours from now. I don't need to actively pursue it right now, but I'm going to on this one. The Detroit Pistons will not be a bottom 3 team in the NBA this season, Sam. They will not.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
They will not be a bottom 3 team. I agree with that.
Okay. So honestly, I just wanted to use this one for us to talk about the teams at the bottom a little bit, because I assumed most of our predictions would be the better teams in the league. And I know that's where all of my other ones were. But one, after a few preseason games, I do think this Pistons offense is going to make more sense. And at least right now, the defense has way more energy and structure than what I've watched for quite a few seasons. I think they made more weak side X out rotations in these preseason games than I maybe have seen in the last 3 years. They have Jay Nivey playing with a lot of confidence right now. Again, all caveats of the preseason. Tobias looked good in his first game. Malik Beasley is at least going to provide floor spacing, et cetera, et cetera. But I think they're also the Nets, I think, would be everybody's worst team. You have the Jazz, the Blazers, the Wizards, the Hornets. I'm not saying they're better than those teams on paper. And then you're going to have one maybe injury-riddled team. I just think they find a way not to be at the very bottom of the NBA standings.
So I think the Wizards and Nets will definitely be worse. I will say that from the jump here. I would say that I think Portland probably ends up worse. In all honesty,
the third team is the hard one. It's just to me, it's mathematic. Like, okay, if I think of there's 6 or 7 teams that could, then surely one of them is, I guess, is where I got to.
Yeah, I think Portland might be pretty rough. All due respect to Chauncey Billups, he's going into the Hall of Fame tonight. Like, great. Like, I think Portland's coach situation is, in a bit of a different category than some of these teams. Let's go with, we don't know what Brian Keefe is going to be at Washington, for instance, necessarily, but I feel good that I don't like Billups' coach. Chicago, I mean, they could be quite poor on defense, and it could be a bit of a mess. I will say, like, Zach LaVine looked.
I haven't watched it, but he must have played well. I saw a lot of people tweeting about it.
Yeah, I watched that game over the weekend. That was fun. Utah, I think, could really struggle. Utah does have Lowry, and I really trust the ability for Lowry to be able to step in and knock down shots, play for Will Rhodes or Will Hardy. This is like a weird ass commenter in this thing that's driving me crazy. Trying to like get rid of them as we go. Will Hardy being able to play and being able to, play for him and space the court in the way that Hardy does on his offensive scheme and really, really, really be able to play at a high level on that end of the court. Colin Sexton had a solid year, but you just never know necessarily what they're going to be on defense. They were terrible on defense last year. And I don't know, like it's a big ask for Walker Kessler to be able to hold this thing up in the way that they need. Like I would even say, like, I think there's a chance that Detroit finishes outside of the top 5 or outside of the bottom 5.
I think there's a world where, maybe. I try not to get my hopes up. Outside the bottom 3 would be sadly a very successful season.
I think that.
Have you watched them yet?
I watched one of the Pistons games or one of the Phoenix games. Yeah.
The offense definitely has a different flow to it. And again, I thought again, all caveats, the defense just has a certain energy and like, it just seems to make sense. Even though they don't have any good individual defenders, even the overall scheme and just guys getting to places and stuff like that seems better. And
I would agree.
Since it's a new coach, I'm assuming that's going to continue to grow because he's just got there a few months ago. And so I'm a little bit optimistic right now that it's not unwatchable this season and they win some games.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if they were able to really pull together 30 wins, 35 wins. That's a stretch. Like let's not go crazy here. It's a stretch, but 35 is like not crazy given some of the teams they're going to be playing at the bottom of the
Yeah.
East. It just depends on who decides to pull the ripcord and who doesn't.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be so much of this season. Who pulls the ripcord and who doesn't whenever we get to the bottom end. There.
Yes.
Okay. My third prediction. Tyrese Maxey ends up being the most valuable player for the Philadelphia 76ers this season.
Yes.
And makes an all NBA team.
Let's go. Hey, I'm on the Tyrese Maxey, hype train. Drafted him early in our under 24 draft. I had him highly ranked in our rankings. This is right up my alley.
What Maxey has been able to do throughout the early portion of his career as a scorer, the speed, the stop start, the touch around the basket with his floater game, the shooting, I think he has just been utterly fantastic. From what I've been told, like there's a pretty real chance he's taken another leap, which is crazy to imagine, just like totally insane to imagine to me that dude has been able to take yet another jump in his game. If he's able to take a jump as a passer and playmaker and be able to get these guys all organized in the way that they need to be organized, man, I feel like they have a real chance to figure some things out. Joel Embiid, today it was announced he's going to miss the rest of preseason. Who knows what he will look like moving forward. Part of this bet is notice the way I said it, value added. And I don't know how many games Joel is going to be able to play. That's the end of the day here. Like, I don't know how many games Joel is going to be able to get on the court this season, but I feel confident that Tyrese Maxey is going to be on the court for a good majority of their games.
I mean, he played 70 last year, 60 the year before, 75 the year before that. I know we're talking regular season, Sam, but can I read off his playoff numbers just because they're
Please
silly?
do again.
29.8 points, 48% from the field on 23 attempts, 40% from three on 9.2 attempts, 89% from the free throw line, 5.2 rebounds, 6.8 assists, and only averaged 2.2 turnovers. And even if you look at his overall playoff numbers, this guy continues to get better. He's gotten better every regular season. And I'm in it. Like, I'm all in on this. I find myself in my head every time people talk about him being the third option on that team going, why? Why is he the third option on that team? Like, maybe
I think Tyrese is clearly at least the second option.
That's what I say. Like, I know we're talking about big time players, right? Multi all-star, all of that players on that team with him. I don't think he's the third option on that team. And I've felt that way, whether they're healthy or not. And when you add in the potential for there not to be health from those other two guys, I think this is a really interesting. So did you say regular season or overall? Just value added in the regular season, or?
I kind of think just like overall, because in the playoffs, like I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Tyrese has continued to lift his game in the playoffs in a real way. And, Joel has to show that he can get to the playoffs at 100% for me. So look, I think Tyrese makes all NBA this year. Like, that's the thing here for me. I really think that Tyrese is going to be the dude for them. Especially in moments where Joel is off the court. But I love what I've seen from him throughout the early portion of his career. And I've just been told again, like, it looks like he's taken yet another leap in the summer.
Yep. No, I love it. This one is, I think it'll catch people off guard, but he's really, really good. And so I'm all in.
I love it. Tyrese is a stud, man. He's an absolute stud. Just the way that he's continued to grow and add to his game. And, if people remember at Kentucky, like he was a good shooter when he first got to Kentucky. He was not a great shooter. He has transformed himself into being an absolutely phenomenal, fantastic shooter over the course of his NBA career.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out. I am interested. I find myself, like I say, every time somebody talks about it. So I'm interested to see what the hierarchy looks like when those three guys are on the floor on the offensive end.
Yep. Okay. You are up with your third prediction, Bryce.
So you touched on this a little bit earlier, Sam. I'm going to predict the New Orleans Pelicans will finish outside the top 8 in the West if they play the entire regular season with no center. And listen, I really like this Pelicans roster in terms of Herbert Jones and Trey Murphy and Zion, DeJounte, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I just, they were 7 seed last year, 3 games up on the 9 seed, 49 wins. I just think they get beat up so much. The Thunder can beat them up. The Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Mavs don't like beat them up, but they cause interesting matchups. The Lakers, Sabonis with the Kings. I just, even Şengün, like that's a weird matchup for them when they play the Rockets. And maybe this all switching, whatever idea that I assume they have works and causes more frustration and havoc and they figure it out. I just wonder how they hold up against teams that will bully them and on the defensive boards. And so until they get even a league average starting center, this is kind of how I feel about how successful it's going to be. And that's even figuring Zion being healthy, like not to mention what you're going to put on his plate if he's having to play the 5, which I also kind of just wanted to talk about the Herb Jones as our center stuff and get your thoughts on that.
I just want to be clear. Shams said that Herb is the center. Like, I don't know what they're thinking necessarily in this respect. Okay. I think this team's going to be very good when they're totally healthy. I think that they are so talented that they will ultimately probably figure it out in terms of how to make it work. I think there will be nights where they probably struggle with physicality. Like, honestly, I don't think Washington is good enough to cause them problems, but like Jonas Valanciunas is a human being that can really cause them some issues, right? Like Jonas just being physical and strong and like an ass kicker, right? Alperen Şengün is a guy that can cause them problems, like in their own conference and I think their own division, if I remember correctly. So they have to play them 4 times a game or 4 times a year, right? Wemby is just like too big for them in some respect. Like he'll shoot over the top and it'll just be dependent on if Wemby makes shots on that night. You know what I mean? Like if he makes shots, he's just going to shoot over the top and that's the reality. So I don't say this to say that I am, buying this because they're so talented.
They are.
They probably have 6 of the top 75 players in the league, 6 of the top 80, right?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe CJ isn't there
anymore? I was gonna say CJ is the one that you're probably trying to figure out how far down he is at this point in his career.
But it's pretty close at least, right?
Probably.
So if you have, if you average that out, most teams should have like 2.75 or 2.66 top 80 players in the league. The Pelicans are at a real massive advantage here. It's just from a talent perspective on a night-to-night basis, especially if Zion is like very serious and is able to, stay on the court and be healthy. That's a guy that like could be an all NBA guy this year. So I don't disagree with your concern about the center position. I just wonder if they are
so good, it
talented. Like they're just more talented right now than Houston is. Right. Houston will be more talented than them in 2 years or whatever, in a year and a half, maybe even. But at this specific point in time, like Houston just not quite as good as they are. And San Antonio is not quite as good as they are. And, like, I'm trying to think.
Well, let me
Honestly,
ask you
like,
this.
I think they are a more talented team than Sacramento.
Okay, so
Sacramento makes more sense because Sabonis, like, again, just like pure ass kicker, it's going to be a real issue. But man, honestly, you know what I'm excited about for this Pelicans team? This is a roster build unlike any that I've seen in a long time. It is just so weird.
I hope it works. Like, honest, I hope it works. I'm not rooting for it not to work. I'm just fascinated by it and am concerned. Okay, so we think 5 teams are definitely better than them. The Thunder, the Nuggets, the Wolves, the Mavs, and the Suns. Agreed?
Thunder, Nuggets, Wolves, Mavs, Suns. Probably, but like I will say that I think there is real ceiling for this Pelicans team. Like if they go get a big in the middle of the season, and I know that's not your qualifier here, but I don't know. Like even if they don't and they stay healthy, they might have a bigger delta in terms of what their ceiling is and what their floor is than any team I think in the West right now. That might be my take on them.
That's fair. I would not disagree with that. And then it just comes down to where you put the percentages. Like, is it a 50% chance that they hit the high and a 50% chance they hit the low? Or is it a 25% chance they hit the high and a 75% chance they hit the low based on the roster construction? And so I think that's fair. Like, I think that's where I went because you're right. It could work. Like Point Zion playing defensive center. Like, what if it works? Good luck guarding that team. If he can hold up and be like physically, he could hold up, right? And if he decided he wanted to go rebound, like my carrot to Zion would be go grab 8 defensive rebounds a game, and then you can just dribble the ball up the floor. Like we want you to do what Russ used to do. We want you to go grab every rebound, and then you can just go, and we'll let you play point guard in transition. And then you have the guys that can run alongside him, the guys that can floor space alongside him, all of that. If you tell me there's a world where this works, I'm in. But I also think there's a world where he gets beat up, where they get killed on the boards, and it just doesn't end up. And there's a little bit of like DeJounte and CJ together. What is BI's situation?
DeJounte and Ingram together is my bigger concern.
And DeJounte, BI, and Zion all operating in space where none of them necessarily just want to go space the floor at the 3-point line, all of that. So yes, I can see a lot of how it works. I also have worries about how it doesn't.
Yeah. No, I generally am. Again, like your concerns are all valid here, and I think they're real. I just also like want to acknowledge the talent that this team has. Like they're really, really good.
They are.
Okay. So I want to finish with my 4th one.
So you want me to go?
You have a few others. You had a 4th one.
Yeah.
And you had a few others that you kind of wanted to wrap.
Okay. Let me throw them out and then you can choose which one we talk about. Okay. I had Malik Monk will win 6th man of the year.
Okay. I dig that one. Yeah. I mean, that's just like kind of simple, right?
It's not super bold. It's just like Dante and Nas are going to take votes from each other potentially in Minnesota. And I love Malik Monk. The other thing I was going to get into there was Cam Thomas leads the NBA in points per game this year. We don't have to get into that, but I thought that was funny.
I mean, very funny. I don't think it will actually happen, but explained the reasoning for it just for people to understand that you're not like out of your mind.
Oh, that I'm not just being crazy. I mean, that team's not very good. They're not trying to win. Cam Thomas is very willing to take a lot of shots and he can really score the basketball when he gets going. I don't think he does this. I think there's a potential he may lead the league in field goal attempts if they truly let him play the way that they potentially could. If they just say, hey, let's see how great he could be as a scorer. But yeah, that team needs somebody to go shoot and get buckets.
I don't think that they will.
I don't either.
Empower him in that way. I think that they will empower him, but like, I don't think they will empower him enough to where that becomes the reality.
I agree. Another one I had was Brandon Pajemski with the Warriors and Keon Ellis with the Kings will supplant themselves by the end of the season as star in their role players. So,
oh wow, okay,
I also had some other names: Dyson Daniels with the Hawks,
yeah,
Aaron Nesmith
that's
with
one that I like.
Aaron Nesmith with the Pacers, Christian Brown with the Nuggets. It's just names I was trying to think of. Like, we talk about these ultimate role players on teams. Who is the next crop of guys that falls into that category?
I think Keon Ellis is a really good name because he's going to have a huge role to play on that Sacramento team.
Yeah.
He has an incredibly important role to play on that team because he's going to be the guy that takes really tough defensive matchups. I'm kind of assuming he's going to start. I'm assuming that they're going to go De'Aaron, Keon, DeMar, Keegan, and Sabonis.
Yes. So as I've watched preseason games, and I'll try to get to as many as I can, but I watched the Kings and went, I think this guy's actually going to start and he's going to be really important to them. And as I watched Warriors games, I feel like they really put the ball in Podziemski's hands, letting Steph do all this stuff off the ball. And I'm like, and I think it was a defensive matchup he took in the game I watched where I'm like, I think they're really going to start him and they're going to give him, I think the very next game he didn't start, by the way, so maybe they don't. But I was like, I think that he's going to have a big role. And then I started thinking of other players around the league who could fall into this ultimate role player type of category that are younger, but maybe not getting talked about a ton yet and could be by the end of the season.
So I'm just sharing on the screen now for people watching on YouTube, the 6th man of the year odds. Malik Monk, very clearly the favorite. Naz Reid, Karis LeVert, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Jordan Clarkson, Buddy Hield. A couple names that are kind of fun at the bottom here. CJ McCollum, figuring out whatever that Pelicans team does with their starting lineup. Norm Powell, Bobby Portis. I wonder about like Trey Murphy too. If they don't start Trey, like if they pay Trey and don't start him, that could be a fun one. But yeah, I do like where your head's at with a lot of these.
Okay, I have one final one, and then again, we can go to yours, or if you want to tackle one a little bit deeper. I have the Cleveland Cavaliers will trade at least one of the big four before the deadline.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about that one a little bit more. Okay. Why? Just give me your explanation.
I know there's this belief that either Evan Mobley makes a leap offensively or the coaching change is going to be able to unlock what needs to be unlocked. I'm still just of the belief that there's a too much overlap between the backcourt and the front court. I actually wonder if it still ends up being Darius Garland as opposed to Donovan Mitchell or as opposed to Jarrett Allen that gets moved. But I wonder if they find themselves where they have all of these guys locked up now. If it doesn't go the way they think with Kenny Atkinson, if they go ahead and make a move. And Mobley's trade restricted. Like Mobley can't get it.
Yeah, they won't move Mobley.
And they wouldn't. Yeah.
Jarrett Allen, I believe. When did Jarrett sign his extension?
I was under the impression that it was like the day before, like Lowry waited. I was under the impression that Jarrett didn't. If I'm mistaken then I'm.
Yeah, Jarrett can be traded on January 31st.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
Donovan, I think, is like by the end of the year or so. Like it's right around that ballpark. Evan, like he's basically, it's going to be exceptionally difficult to move him. I think he's poison pilled. He might even be like fully like untradeable. They're not moving Evan Mobley. Like they're not moving Evan Mobley by the end of the year.
To me, it was Jarrett Allen or Darius Garland, and I was pretty certain that Jarrett was going to be before the deadline.
So, yeah, I think so much of this depends on what Evan Mobley looks like this year. If Evan Mobley is able to play like as a perimeter player under Kenny Atkinson, can grab and go, can create off the bounce a little bit, can shoot a little bit, it opens up every single thing that they do, right? It opens up literally every single thing that they can possibly manage on offense, on defense, etc. If that doesn't happen in his 4th year, I can see that being possible Again, Jared Allen trade eligible on January 31st. I can see them potentially looking at moving Jarrett, if only because we did get like a nice little run of Evan playing center by and large in the playoffs, and he was pretty solid at it. He's by and large actually good, in my opinion. So they have like a sample of it now, at least. You probably don't want to do it all the time. But like if you could do it for half a season, then go sign a center to start, next year and take some wear and tear off of Evan. If you felt like you got a great offer for Jarrett, maybe. I still think Garland is the one most likely, though. It still makes the most sense to me to move Garland. But, Garland's the shooter, and they probably have to be able to play 5 out just to be able to win the math game with Boston. Like they can't beat Boston in a 5-game series right now purely because of the math issue.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. Maybe.
It might depend on what other teams are looking for as well, right? I mean, a move I really liked last year was Darius to the Spurs. I thought that would be a really nice fit, putting him in San Antonio with Wembanyama. Now, who knows, right? I mean, not that Chris Paul is the point guard of the future, but if Steph Castle looks like he is, then that would take them out of the running. But if you get in a situation where the Cavs are 500 at the time this starts being a decision, and the Pelicans still need a center, and somebody else needs a center, and somebody else needs a center, and you can drive up the asking price because there's a little bit of a bid for him, then maybe he's the one that ends up going. So I think there's a lot of different ways it can play out based on how the season plays out. I'm just still kind of stuck on, I guess, not fully believing that these 4 are the perfect complement to each other.
I completely agree with you that they're the perfect complement. That I'm 100% in agreement with. It's just I don't know if they're going to be able to do it this year versus next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other big ones that you want to talk about?
That was essentially my complete list. So I kind of gave you everything.
So my final big prediction. We get Oklahoma City versus Boston in the playoffs.
Okay.
In the finals.
Yep.
I think 7 games. I think I'm going to go Oklahoma City to win the title.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I think it's close. Like those 2 teams, I think are the 2 teams in the NBA this year to me. Those are the ones where I look at it and I am like, they have the best versatility. They have the best way to match up with you. Like Oklahoma City can go big. They can go small. They have a number of great wing defenders. They have a number of great big defenders. They have guard defenders now. They have the ability to space the court and go 5 out. They can go and have Hartenstein on the interior and score and rebound. And that's a big issue that they fixed. They fixed the rebounding issue from last year with Hartenstein. Like, man, I think that these 2 teams are the 2 teams in the NBA this year that end up having the best regular seasons. And we look at them as hopefully getting a chance to face off against each other in the finals. The reason that I would like to see it in the finals is because I would love to see that the way that they match up with one another.
Yeah.
Do they decide to go with something like, okay, we're going to go Hartenstein at the 5, or do they go super small with Chet at the 5 and then go all of their defenders, Caruso, Dort, Jalen Williams, Shea, all out on these Boston guys? These are the 2 teams. This is really what it comes down to for me. These are the 2 teams in the league right now that I think are ahead of the game on both ends of the court in terms of playoff basketball and being able to have star power that also has lineup flexibility and versatility. They can guard on the ball, Derek White and Drew Holiday, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams. They have creation. I think Jalen Williams is going to be a star.
Yeah.
Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They have floor spacing bigs, Chet Holmgren, Kristaps Porzingis. They really can fire from distance. They can play the math game in that respect. They have a well-spaced court for their drivers. They have a well-spaced court for potential post options if you want to go down that road for inverting actions. They also have guys like Al Horford and Isaiah Hartenstein who can play on the interior and give you the ability to go big against other teams too. They have the best mix and match of being able to match up with teams in whatever way they want to match up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like Horford and Hartenstein obviously aren't the same players because Horford's corner floor spacer, Hartenstein, but they both allow you to either play them as the backup five or play them with your starting center and go big. And so if the Celtics wanted to try to get big, like if they would have met last year, would the Celtics have tried to go big on the Thunder, right, and bully them? The Oklahoma City may not have had the answer. This year they do have the answer to do that, and Oklahoma City adds another defender in Caruso on the perimeter to, okay, we'll put J-Dub and Dort on Brown and Tatum. Well, who's left? I'm not, SGA's fine on the ball. I'm not saying he's not, but now he's having to take a really tough defensive match. Now you can have Caruso in there to take on the next matchup that's left. They have floor space. You didn't even mention like Sam Hauser off the bench for the Celtics and Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins off the bench for the Thunder. There's so much versatility. So I think because of that, it would be a very, very fun matchup.
Here's what that series would come down to for me. Who would have more success as like the third creator?
Sure.
Would it be Drew Holiday or Derek White?
Yeah.
Or would it be Chet trying to take advantage of the Horford or Porzingis matchup? And by the way, like we're hoping Porzingis comes back like totally healthy.
Yeah.
He's a big question mark for Boston right now entering the year. They're a very different team when Kristaps is out there. When Kristaps is out there, if you told me with 100% certainty that Kristaps would be completely healthy by the playoffs, I would say probably Boston wins, if I'm being honest. Because what Kristaps does for them, it just completely opens everything up offensively in such a significant way. The other piece of this that's interesting is I think Oklahoma City has a little bit more depth than they do. Like I felt like when Porzingis was on the court last year, though, there was a real case to be made. He was like a top 25-ish player in the league. His ability to protect the rim, his willingness to space the court from three, not just from like 23 feet or like in the corners, but above the break from 30 feet. It opened up everything for them. It opened up absolutely everything for them offense-wise. That, to me, that's the reason why they ended up having the best offense in league history last year. Obviously, Jason Tatum is their best player, and Jaylen Brown's incredible, and Drew Holiday and Derek White, and it's all synergistic. I don't mean to just say that Porzingis is the only guy here, but Porzingis is arguably the biggest marginal advantage maybe that they have stylistically compared to everybody else in the league as a shooter. So if he's healthy, it's a different ball game for Boston. I just would like to know a little bit more about what his health situation is going to be by the time the playoffs roll around. And I think Oklahoma City just has a little bit more depth. Like if Porzingis is out, it becomes like a real depth question between the two. But to me, these are the two teams in the NBA. Like I think Boston, look, I'll be interested to see how Boston plays the regular season. Do they care to try and win 60 games again? Jason coming off the Olympics, Drew and Derek coming off the Olympics, all these guys having played a number of minutes in a real way. I don't know. Like you could sell me on New York winning the 1 seed, but I think that Boston's like a drastically better playoff team if these two teams are all healthy. And I would say that they are going to be a level above New York, for instance, and a level above everybody in the East at full health in the playoffs if they get there that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Boston can navigate the regular season with Cornette and Horford and whatever they need at the center spot.
Kata, yeah.
Kata, yeah.
Tillman.
Yeah. It's just like that's not what you want in the playoffs. They can get through the regular season. Who do you think is the Celtics' biggest threat in the playoffs? Is it the Knicks, who have kind of, hey, we have our own
I think it's definitely the Knicks.
floor
in the
spacing
East.
big and
Yeah.
all of those wings and the primary on-ball guy and Brunson driving
Yes.
offense? Like they seem, a lot of
The-
things
the
we
Knicks-
just said you can say
Yeah.
about the Knicks in some capacity.
The Knicks have 3 different guys who can guard on the ball against wings at a high level. They can play the math game now, being able to play 5
Yes.
out with Towns. And they have a dude in Jalen Brunson that, made first team all NBA last year. I think it's definitely the Knicks in terms of their best chance to beat, or in terms of the best chance to beat Boston. But I still think Boston is like a pretty real level ahead in a playoff matchup at full health.
And who do you think is OKC's toughest matchup in the West come play? Not the team that's going to finish second, but Denver's a tough one right now. Again, Minnesota's kind of changed what their roster is.
I would say Denver and Minnesota are the 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Like pretty clearly for me, the 2.
Dallas knocked him out last year.
Yeah. It's not unfair to say Dallas, given that they beat them last year. I think that the additions that Oklahoma City made basically counteract the reasons that Dallas knocked them out last year.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, it's probably, can Jokic just go nuts enough to beat them on the interior? Or can Minnesota just like kind of bludgeon them a little bit?
Yep.
Yeah. But look, my finals prediction is Oklahoma City against Boston. And if I knew Porzingis was 100% healthy, I would say Boston. But without knowing where his health stands currently and fully, I will go Oklahoma City.
I love it. I mean, obviously we're both pretty high on OKC because I opened up with some regular season stuff, and that's picking them to win the finals is high praise as well, especially over a Celtics team that kind of brought everybody back and has every reason to be motivated after the summer, or at least tell themselves they should be motivated. So
that is true. Okay, Bryce, we've gone through our predictions. It's now time to bring on, really, this podcast's just absolute fearless leader at this point in time. It's Andrew Claudio. Shout out to GMAC. What's going on, buddy?
Howdy, fellas. I'll ignore that you didn't pick the Knicks to win the title and say that it's very good to see both of you. I hope you're doing well.
I hope that you're functioning today, because today is a big day in the Claudio household.
What's going on? Is it your anniversary? Is it your anniversary?
Bigger, more important.
I hope Mrs. Claudio does not listen to this podcast.
The fact that I said that should tell you she doesn't. So, yes, the Mets' first pitch is in like 20 minutes. So, but it wouldn't stop me from coming on for trivia, where I could hopefully redeem myself from a couple of loser efforts. That's how much the Mets have inspired me, that I want to make sure I get this W before they continue to get these Ws.
Oh boy. All right, Bryce,
baseball,
you are up. It is time. Trivia time, folks.
Let's go.
Take the reins of the show, Bryce.
All right. We are looking for, and what's cool, guys, is soon we're going to have new regular season numbers, and I'm going to start doing that, but not yet. So we're still off last season, regular season. Let me go game plays first. Game played, 50 or more. Points per game, 10 or more. True shooting percentage, 61 or more. And 6'6" or shorter on NBA.com.
6'6" or shorter on NBA.
So we're looking for smallish players that have a high true shooting percentage.
Okay. How many players did this?
So there are 14 that did it.
Oh dear.
And no. That's not what I'm going to ask. in alternating order, the first person to get to 5 wins.
Okay.
So change it up just a little bit. So instead of trying to name 10 names and all of that, it's just the first one of you to hit 5, get 5 of these 14 names is the winner.
What's the height again?
6'6" or shorter. And I think for the sake of this, if you need to ask for a player's height or Google it on your own, I will trust you to Google their height and not look at their true shooting percentage. Because like there's at least one name on here that like I was like, oh, I probably would have never guessed him because I, would have guessed he was listed at 6'7". So I'm not trying to disqualify, like I'm not trying to trick you on the height thing. So if you need to look somebody up to see if they're, listed at 6'4", or, whatever, like I'm cool with it. I
think it's actually more fun if I try to guess who's short and who's not. So the only thing I'm pulling up is a list of the standings so I can see teams. That's all.
That's fine.
Okay. Who goes first?
Sam, you're the champ. You get to go first.
Okay. My first guess is White Dante himself, Dante DiVincenzo.
Dante DiVincenzo is not on this list. Why is Dante not on this list? Oh, Dante DiVincenzo. Let's see.
I was just thinking high volume 3-point shooters.
Yeah. Where is
his volume too high?
59.7% true shooting percentage, Sam Vecenie.
That's gross. Okay, you're up.
Sorry.
My first guess will be Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving, not on this list.
Games played?
I would.
No, he got to 50 last year.
So
Kyrie Irving, 58 games played, advanced numbers, true shooting.
Again,
60.8.
You got to be kidding me.
Gross. That's really gross.
Listen, I gave you guys the number. Like, it's not my fault you were guessing all the people right below it. Don't get mad at me.
The frustration isn't at you. It's at the number, Brian.
Well, there's too many players that were 60% or better. So,
wow.
Absolutely.
But not 61 or better, clearly. It's only 14.
My God.
All right, Sam,
okay. Sticking with the idea here, I'm going to go Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen is I guess this list is just in height. So Sam Vecenie, that is one player that was on this list. He was at, either we want to guess what his true shooting percentage was
67 or something crazy.
67.9% true shooting percentage for Grayson Allen last year.
Steph Curry.
Okay.
Steph Curry is on this list. Great guess, Andrew Claudio. Steph Curry was at 61.6% true shooting percentage. You have guessed 2 of the 4 shortest players on this list.
Okay. My next guess is Derek White.
Derek White is on this list. You have now guessed 3 of the 4 shortest players on this list. Derek White was at 61.1.
Wow,
So
I'm surprised Derek was that low, actually. I expected him to be like clear of this thing.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell is not on this list.
The true shooting not high enough.
Let's pull it up as Sam Vecenie considers his next guess. 59.9 or 59.5. Not a bad guess at all, Andrew Claudio. We are 2 for Sam Vecenie, 1 for Andrew Claudio.
I will go a little bit surprising.
Okay.
I will say Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday not on this list.
I thought about it, Sam. It's a good guess.
Yeah, because I thought he was fairly efficient from 2 last year as well.
I will be the judge of whether that was a good guess or not.
Oh, hold on. Bryce has to tell us.
59.7% sounds like a really good guess.
Yeah.
You guys have been on the mark. This is awesome. Very proud of you guys. But we still only have 3 of 14. We have more. You stinking guys have guessed more between 59 and 60.8 than you have 61 and above.
Make that the range next time, and we would have looked great.
Then it would be too hard. If I would have said, hey, I want you to guess all the players 6'6" and under that shot between 59 and 61% true shooting, you would have freaked out.
Well, clearly it wouldn't have been too hard because we got 4 already. So,
all right, who's up?
All right,
we have 3, right? Or do we have 4?
So no, but you've guessed 4 of the in between 59 and 61.
Yeah,
that's quite funny.
It is amazing.
Man, 6'6" and under. So someone 6'5" could potentially be here.
There would be a few of those. Yep.
Oh, a few of those. Well, the Grayson Allen one's a good guess, which is why I'm trying to think of shooters that played enough games that would be 6'5" and higher. I need to give a guess, so I'll say Tyrese Maxey, but I'm not confident in it.
Tyrese Maxey not on this list.
That's a good guess. I bet he's right in the middle of that number again.
I freaking hope so. I can't wait to see. Where's advanced shooting? True shooting percentage 57.3.
Oh,
okay. Lower than I thought.
A little bit lower, yeah. He was at 60.5 the year before.
Yeah. Okay. My next one is going to be Shea.
Shea is on this list. Shea Alexander, Gilgeous Alexander is 6'6" and was at 63.6 true shooting percentage. So Sam is out to a little bit of a lead here, 3-1.
Man.
Just a hint, we have not guessed the shortest player on the list. I'm not saying he's the shortest player in the NBA. He is not, but we have not guessed the shortest player.
It's the 50 games thing matched with the 10 points per game thing that's given me.
So the 10 points had to be a caveat because then there were going to be some like ridiculous names of guys who averaged like 7 points, but still kind of found their way into 50 games and stuff like that. So, there's some there's some star players on this list, like big time players, and then some more rollish type players. But there's some big names on the list.
I wish I knew how tall someone was.
Ask.
If you ask me, I will be able to answer.
How tall is Devin Booker?
I would guess he qualifies.
Devin Booker is 6'6" or shorter.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker is on this list.
There we go.
Yep.
Devin Booker is 6'6", according to NBA.com. 61.1 true shooting percentage. Andrew with a big get right there. Pull it back 2-3.
So the way I'm now thinking about this, just to give like a little bit of insight, is like the best offenses in the league almost. And man, this is so aggressive because he was rough late in the year because of the hamstring injury. But I'm gonna go Halliburton.
Tyrese Halliburton. Go ahead.
The Pacers like have to have somebody here, I feel like.
No comments. Tyrese Halliburton not on this list. I mean 60.5%.
Yeah, I mean,
my God.
Yeah.
It's your guys' fault. It's your fault. I gave you the parameters. Like, I'll make it harder next time if you want. I will give you.
No, I love it.
Did he get 10 points per game? Caruso.
Alex Caruso on this list is Andrew.
Okay.
That's staggering to me. Good work.
Alex Caruso, 6'5", average 10.1 points per game.
Oh my God.
61.3 true shooting. We are tied.
I never would have guessed
3-3.
that he got to 10. Yeah.
Well, guess what? I just guessed that he got
Claudio.
Great.
I remember the
pull by
3-point
Claudio.
shooting was up there. I didn't think he got to 10 points. Oh, boo. Sorry, they're showing Ohtani and the Dodgers getting introduced.
Okay. So now I have to like really kind of run through this a little bit.
Mm-hmm. While you do that, I just want to tell you the experience I have watching Knicks preseason, because I actually really like the starting five, and I have the Knicks Timberwolves game up. Every OG Anunoby movement, I feel like I'm watching my favorite football team. I'm just like, please get up, please walk away from this. Okay, like I'm watching like a concerned little league parent.
Andrew,
it's actually staggering.
I watched your Knicks play the other night go from Jalen Brunson, three wings and a floor spacing 5 to a bench unit of 3 guards, 6'2" and shorter, and 2 non-floor spacing bigs. And I'm like, what the hell is, and both were successful, but I was like, what is going on? What is going on here? Like, this is the complete complete opposite possible rotations.
Something about that Tyler Kolek, Deuce McBride campaign.
That was it.
That's going to be insane.
with Precious
and Jericho Sims.
Oh my
God.
It was amazing.
Okay.
Sam, you're up.
Oh shit. He's not. I was about to say Trey Murphy, but he's definitely not 6'6" or shorter.
Correct.
Now I have to re-rack my brain a little bit.
6'8" according to Real GM.
Did Aaron Naismith do this?
Aaron Naismith did do this and was Sam was on track with the Indiana Pacers. Aaron Naismith is 6'6" according to NBA.com. 12.2 points, 63.1.
Wow.
True shooting percentage.
Yeah. Shot it super well last year.
I like Naismith for what it's worth. There are 2 guys that are multi-time all-stars on this list.
Multi-time all-stars.
Yep. 1 is a full-time starter, 2 is a full-time starter, 3 is a full-time starter, 3 more full-time starters.
Just waiting for more hints if you've got them.
The shortest, yet again, the shortest player on the list is still there.
Still not there.
Probably 2 more bench players then.
So the bench player I have in mind is Malik Monk, and I think that's going to be my guess.
Malik Monk not on this list. I wish he was, because one of my favorite players in the NBA. Malik Monk was at 56% true shooting.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say, I'm just like continuing to stick with like best offenses in the league. Jalen Williams.
And our game is over. Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Definitely thought J-Dub was like 6'5", 6'7", at least.
So J-Dub is one that I was like, man,
he's that big, but
I would have thought he was taller, but 6'5", 62.1% true shooting percentage. Any other guesses? Sam has won the game, but any other guesses?
Man. Well, Sam Merrill, but definitely not with the points per game. That guy just figured that has to always be in consideration.
Yeah.
Oh, that one out of
focus. Other random names that I had. I was trying to think of like other shooters, and then I just like kind of stopped. What, Andrew? What are we?
My thing went out of focus. I'm readjusting it. That's all. There we go.
Like what the fuck?
Sorry.
I was like trying to think of shooters as much as anything.
So it's not that. It's not that. Kispert is the only one that you would, I think, consider.
Okay.
So Corey Kispert.
I wouldn't have thought of Kispert.
So the shortest
might have got there eventually, but didn't. Yeah.
Mike Conley.
Yeah. Honestly, Conley was up there for my next guess.
Norman Powell.
Never would have got that.
Austin Reeves.
Might have got there eventually.
I wondered if there would be a Laker.
I think what happened was he had such a slow start last season that I don't think, people would have guessed that eventually it got back to this point. Here's one I can't wait to get. The next 2 I can't wait. So we haven't named the 2 multi-time All-Stars. Do you want to try still? Multi-time All-Stars.
Yeah. So
one of them
multi-time All-Stars
is like multi-time All-NBA. 6-time All-NBA first-team player.
Did James Harden get there?
James Harden is on this list. The last one
is Dame. No, Dame had a down shooting. There's no way he got there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Dame.
This guy, 2-time All-Star, former number 1 overall pick.
2-time All-Star, number 1 overall pick.
We talked about him for a little while today on the pod and his team.
Could that be Anthony Edwards?
we did not talk about Anthony Edwards very much.
Zion Williamson is 6'6".
Zion Williamson
is
6'6".
That's cheating.
It's not my fault.
Oh, okay.
I don't plug in the heights to NBA.com.
Well done.
So I almost gave you guys Zion because like I never would have guessed Zion. Like I just assumed he would at least be listed at 6'7", something like that. So
well, I clearly didn't guess Zion. So well done.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, like racking my brain through shooters. Like I don't think I would have got to Kispert at any point. And I like Corey a lot too. Is the funny thing.
No disrespect. There was no way I was naming a wizard.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like I just never would have gotten to the Wizards.
Nope.
That's probably fair.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew, tell the people where they can find what you've got going on.
What I've got going on. Well, if you care about my well-being and want to know that I'm okay after baseball games, Mets Therapy AC on all socials. If you want to get wall-to-wall Knicks coverage, in fact, if you're watching live and want to go check out the post game of this Knicks Timberwolves riveting preseason game, Knicks Film School, after every game, before every game, during off days, anywhere podcasts are available or YouTube channels are available. And of course, if you want to get bite-sized versions of the the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecenie, Game Theory, Sam V on X, TikTok, and Instagram. Thank you, fellas, as always, for having me on. I hope one of these days I walk away victorious, but I'll settle for my baseball team surprising me in that aspect instead.
Hey, I think you won the first round. I think I'm only like 2-1.
I haven't won yet.
No,
you're undefeated, Sam. That's and like I see the
that's definitely not true because Schlecht beat me.
Right. Well, so you're undefeated against me. Like I don't care what happened with Andrew Schlecht. You're undefeated against me. So that's where I'm coming from. And I see what happened is you wanted to make sure you won every week. So it was like, I'll get this only knows Knicks fan over here. So that way I got you.
See,
I'm happy to be your Washington Generals.
Soon
so
I will
Globetrotter show. It's
soon
fine.
I will have a Knicks centric one.
Right next week. So I need the last 10 Knicks to start at center on opening night.
Yes.
That would be fun. Shout out Jerome James.
That's
Bryce, tell the people where they can find your work.
Yeah, at Motor City Hoops on Twitter. That's where any podcasts, anything like that. I've been doing some more game breakdowns. I just put my raw notes out there for people to read. Lots of Pistons games, but also just general NBA games. So follow over there. You can find all of that. We'll be live talking Pistons in the morning. If you want to come listen to that, that'll be fun. Otherwise, Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecenie right here.
Go to The Athletic. Keep me employed over there. I will have something going up later this week over there. Still trying to figure out the machinations of all of that. Go to the YouTube channel. I will have a breakdown of Ben Seraph, a 6'5", 6'6" combo guard prospect out of Israel, currently playing for Ulm over in Germany, a guy that I have currently as a lottery grade. Whether or not he ends that way will depend on how the college basketball season goes. But at this early stage, I feel quite good about where he's at. Go subscribe to all the random social media channels that Andrew just mentioned. Game Theory Sam V over on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I think that's all we got. We will be back later this week with another show. Might do draft stuff, might not. We will see. Depends on the schedule that I have for the guest I have in mind. Until next time, though, we will talk soon.